So we called this episode Lost because it was kind of a lost week. In some ways, we didn't make any progress on our primary objectives, but that wasn't to say it wasn't a bad week. We had a great time with Clue, and we finally finished all of that and ran the show, and everything worked great. I hope you got a chance to check it out and see it if you live streamed it. But we didn't get anywhere with cleaning the place, which is why there's no time lapse photography racing along as we so industriously move to get the studio clean. Nor did we get in touch with the electrician, nor did we get anywhere with trying to examine the construction process. But we did do the muffled voice cue, and so we'll take a look at that. We borrowed a classroom to do our recording of "It's Me" and "You Zot Right," two lines of dialogue that we need to separate later on.
Me. You zot right. It's me. You zot right.
So we captured the audio in Ableton Light Live. That's the program that talks directly to the Volt. And so we export the audio from there. We want an MP3 file, which is down near there. And so we export that and give it a name and save it as. And once we get it all done there, then we get out of Ableton Live and we load up our QLab program. And once we're in QLab, we load up our version of Q. We go down and select the place in the script where the cues that we need to insert are for the dialogue that we just recorded. And we insert 2 audio cues. And we pick the number for them to match our scheme. And we go in and give them a name. It seems that we should call this Mysterious Killer Part 1. And "It's Me" is the dialogue. And then Mysterious Killer Part 2. And it's a play on the French maid saying, "I thought you was a killer. You thought right." And so we'll assign the audio file that we just exported. And we open that. And then we switch over to time and loops so that we can see the audio file and listen to it and pick which one we want.
You zot right.
Maybe another couple of them.
It's me. You zot right. It's me. You zot right.
After some deliberation, the third one sounded the best, so we picked the starting point, enter the time code for that, and then we pick the ending point, and that should be about there. And so we enter the time code for that. And then we decide that we want to put a loop in there, or a fade in there, so that we can have the noise kind of gradually start, even though it's going to be quick. So we pick the fade on the beginning, and then we move over and pick the fade on the end, after setting it to match the part of the cue that we're actually going to play. So if we move the head or the tail of the cue, the fade will move with it. And then we change the rate, which is going to give us a little bit of a baser note. We don't want to preserve the pitch because that's the effect that we're after for the modulation. And we go over to there and see what it sounds like.
It's me.
The second cue is done very much the same, so we'll go up and look at the way that one came out. And so we scoot over to watch that. There's where we put the fades in.
You thought right.
Besides playing Colonel Mustard and Clue this week, which was a lot of fun, I spent a whole lot of the week doing exactly this. Notice how fast the downloading thing is moving for X-Band 2, and this is not a photograph. Installing didn't go much faster. There's over 40 or 50 of these things that have to be downloaded, so it takes quite a bit of time. And I'm stuck on one. I've had several crash problems and things like that. A lot of this week was spent downloading software to get this list to disappear. The unexpected change of plans has left me with a short week, and since we haven't finished installing all of the plugins necessary to run the demo session, I'm not going to add anything to the list of things to do this week. So next week's list looks like this. And as for software, although I've added a bunch, I haven't used a bunch. Some of it will wind up being used in the demo session, but I'm only going to just list it here as included in the Pro Tools and Bolt software. And then as for expenses this week, we didn't have any. We just had fun. So I hope you'll join us next week on Moose Tracks Studio.